My name is Catherine Schmidt. I'm a trust fund specialist with Wisconsin Department of Employee Trust Funds. And I am here to talk to you about one of the best things in the world, the Wisconsin retirement system. Okay? I've been with ETF for about 2.5 years. Before that, I worked for the Department of Workforce Development in the Unemployment Insurance Division. So I worked with unemployed people, and I knew I didn't want to be unemployed. But now that I work with retirees, I know I want to be retired. So, our goal tonight is to give you a general explanation of how the Wisconsin retirement system works. We're going to start bare bones from the beginning, which for some of us was a little while ago, for some of us was a long while ago, but it all pertains to us, okay? I welcome questions throughout the presentation because I think we learn better together. If for some reason you have a question that you don't feel comfortable sharing in front of the group, I'm going to hang around for a little bit afterwards. You could come talk to me. If you still don't know what your question is, but you know you have something in the back of your mind, there's a box of blue pens that actually work with ETF's contact information on there, okay? Our phone number and our website. So I would encourage you to give us a call if you have any questions. One of the most important things is this. If you have questions about your retirement, talk to ETF. You may have friends who have retired and may know a lot about the system, and that's great. But every situation is individualized, and the only way to get answers about your own account is to call us, okay? Even your HR representatives here are very versed in the program, but you need to call ETF. So, let's start learning. So what we're going to talk about is your participation. So your service is determined based upon the number of hours that you work. For most of the individuals in this room, on a fiscal year basis, because most of you are educators, okay, or educational assistants. So for teachers, if you work 13, 20, you get a full year of service. Okay? If you work less than that, then you're receiving less than a full year of service, even though you may be working a certain number of hours. Okay? In order to be considered eligible for the system, if you were hired after July 1st of 11, you have to meet certain criteria. This 2/3 of full-time, which for educational individuals is 880 hours. For the rest of us, like me, a general employee category individual, it's 1,200 hours, okay? That information is reported to ETF on an annual basis. And then we house that information, we house those contributions, and when you say, hey, you know what, I'm ready to retire, you contact ETF because we're the ones with the money, okay? You may tell the district that, hey, I'm going to retire at the end of the school year, and tell the district that, that's great. But if you get to tell ETF about that, you don't get any money. So it's a two-step process, right? You inform your employer and you inform ETF. Vesting. You hear this word a lot in the retirement world. If you were employed by the district or any public employer who pays into the Wisconsin retirement system prior to July 1st of 2011, you were vested the minute you walked into the door, okay? If you were hired after July 1st of 2011, you have to have 5 years of credible service before you are vested in the system. What does vesting mean? Vesting means that you are eligible for the employer contributions that are being made to the system on your behalf, right? Because you contribute and the employer contributes, right? It's a benefit that we all receive as public employees, okay? So in order to be vested, again, prior to July 1st of 11, the minute you walked in the door, after July 1st of 11, 5 years of credible service. You have to be vested in order to receive a full retirement benefit. Okay, and we're going to talk about the retirement benefits in a little bit. If you are not vested, and you are going to retire from your position with the district, you would be eligible for what we call a separation benefit. A separation benefit only consists of what you put into the system. Okay? The employer contributions are then forfeited. You don't get them unless you're vested. So if you're really close to being vested, and when I say really, really close, I would think anything more than 3 years, you might want to hang on, right? Because then you get those employer contributions and you get a larger benefit, okay? If you decide to take a separation benefit, let's say you're like me. I'm not minimum retirement age in the state of Wisconsin yet, and I leave my position with my public employer. I'm vested. I started before July 1st of 2011, so I was vested the minute I walked in the door, but I can't collect my benefit yet. And I decide, you know what, public employment is no longer for me and I'm gonna go to the private sector. I could take my benefit, my money out, take a separation benefit, but I'm only getting what I put in. And I forfeit all of those employer contributions and all my service. Okay, but I can't take the money out right now. I'm not allowed to. I haven't met that qualification of the benefit. Okay? So, if you are of minimum retirement age and you are considering, okay, you know what, I'm done with the school system, but I'm gonna go work in the private sector. If you are of minimum retirement age and you are vested, you need to call ETF and get an estimate. Even if you are not retiring from the labor market, you are retiring from the Wisconsin retirement system. Yes, ma'am?
What is the minimum retirement age?
We will talk about that in a little bit when we talk about retirement. Yep. If you decide, or what I should say here is, did you know that there are survivor benefits or death benefits payable as an active member of the Wisconsin retirement system? So if I die as an active member of the Wisconsin retirement system, there is a death benefit payable to my beneficiaries. That death benefit consists of, we are all active members today, okay? We are actively contributing to the Wisconsin retirement system. That death benefit consists of your contributions, the employer's contributions, and all the interest over the years. They are payable to your beneficiaries, okay? If you are an inactive member, meaning you leave the Wisconsin retirement system and you do not take out your money, either, either because you're not eligible or because you decide not to, that's your prerogative, but you're endangering your account. Okay, my husband is an inactive member of the Wisconsin retirement system. He left state employment after 15 years and now works in the private sector. Okay? He left his money in the system. Why? Because when he can retire, he'll get his contributions and the employer's contributions, right? And after 15 years of service, that's a nice retirement account, okay? But he's putting his money at risk. Because if he passes away as an inactive member, me, as his beneficiary, I only receive his contributions and the interest, okay, down here. But it's worth the risk in the long run, okay? So if you are thinking about, okay, I don't know if I have a beneficiary designation form on file with the department, you want to take a look at that. It's a way to protect your money, okay? Your beneficiary designation form is filed with ETF. It's not filed with your employer. If you fill out a beneficiary designation form, send it to ETF, not your employer. Remember, we're the ones with the money. If you do not have a beneficiary designation form on file, we are going to follow statutory standard sequence. This is the beneficiary designation form. There would have been one in the folder that you have, the blue folders that were out on the table in the front. I would recommend, if you want, I like to call it driving the car. You're still driving while you're not here. Telling us what you want done with your account. If you want that done, fill out a beneficiary designation form and send it to us. If you're not sure if you have one on file with us, there's a couple of ways you could take care of that. One, you could call the number on the beautiful blue pen. Two, you can look at the back of your statement of benefits, which is mailed to you every spring in April, okay? And figure out, do I really have one or not? Or three, just fill one out and mail it to us, and that becomes the effective form, okay? This is how it works. If you fill out multiple individuals in the primary beneficiary box, or any beneficiary box for that matter, the benefit is split in thirds, okay? In this example, persons A, B, and C will each get a third of the benefit. You can also designate different percentages, okay? As long as the percentages add up to 100, we're fine. So I've done a beneficiary designation form where someone had 18 people in one box, and they each had a different percentage. I may have said a couple of very colorful words, but I did it because that was what the member wanted done. Okay? She was still driving the car. If someone dies, so again in this example, persons A, B, and C, B passes away, then their share is split between those two other surviving individuals. And then if all people have passed away in the primary box, then we go to the secondary box. A beneficiary can be anyone or anything. It can be your neighbor, it can be your best friend, it can be a charity, it could be a trust. Okay? We do not follow wills. It's either the beneficiary designation form or standard sequence. So again, this is a way to protect your money if you're not sure if you're going to retire in a couple of years, months. Like me. I have one filed because I want to make sure that the department knows how to pay my money out if I was to pass away. Again, if you don't have a beneficiary designation form on file, we're going to follow statutory standard sequence, which starts with your spouse, your children, your parents, your brothers and sisters, and then your estate. Something to note about standard sequence, as you can see in the small print, if one of your children dies before you, their share is divided between their children. Now, the great thing about standard sequence is you don't have to change anything if that's the way you want it. The thing that can happen, though, is it could slow down the process. We are notified of your passing, and then we have to go find people. And even in this day and age of social media, if someone does not want to be found, they are hard to find, even when the government is looking for them. Okay? So my beneficiary designation does follow statutory standard sequence. My spouse is primary, my two children are secondary, but their names are listed so they know exactly who they're looking for. And that money can be paid out quicker. Other thing is, standard sequence does not cover stepchildren. The children have to be natural or legally adopted. Okay? So just something to keep in mind. This is what we call an alternate beneficiary designation form, or an ET 2321. They were not provided to you in the packet, but they are available on our website or by calling us. The great thing about the alternate beneficiary designation form is it's like standard sequence, but you're listing the people. Okay, we don't need to go hunting for them. So in this example, primary beneficiaries are child A and B. then the option to say is, if the aforesaid child A dies before me, the share which they would have received is divided between grandchildren A, B, and C. Okay? So like standard sequence, right? But you are specifically listing those names. The other great thing about beneficiary designation forms is you can list future children or future grandchildren. Okay? There are instructions on the back of the form of how specifically to word it, and please follow them. We're really picky about beneficiary designation forms with good reason, right? So we want to make sure that the wording is exactly the way it should be. And if it's not, we send it back to you. You probably don't like us for that, and then you have to fill out a new one. The other cautionary tale of the beautiful beneficiary designation form is what? Life events. I cannot tell you how many times people go through a divorce and we send them beneficiary designation forms as a very gentle hint, and they forget to update it, and then they pass away, and who are we paying? The ex-spouse. And the new spouse is calling us saying, hey, I know there's a death benefit that should be paid. And we can't say anything because they're not a beneficiary. So, if you have any life-changing events, even if the life-changing event is not your own, let's say you really like your son-in-law, and you list your son-in-law as your beneficiary, and your daughter and son-in-law get a divorce. You can still list them, sure, go ahead. I don't know how your daughter would feel about that, but go for it. But just remember, the life event may not be your own that causes a reason for a change on the beneficiary designation form. And again, the way to change it is you just fill out a new one, mail it to us, and that becomes the effective form. Okay? As I mentioned before, there's this annual statement of benefits, which I'm going to be 100% honest with you, I never looked at until I started working with the department. And now I look at it because now I realize that, it's kind of important. It's mailed to you every April, and it has the information as of January of that year. The reason why it is important is this. 1, it lists whether you have a beneficiary designation form on file. 2, it lists what the employer is reporting to ETF about your service and your earnings. It is a heck of a lot easier to start pounding on a door when you're still working for the district to get that fixed than it is when you're 2 months out from retirement and going, hey, I think they jipped me on my service, right? We want to be proactive. We want to make sure that these numbers are accurate for you, your service and your earnings, because those are the driving forces of the calculation that we do when it comes to retirement. Okay? So again, I'm far away from retirement, but now I look at my statement of benefits and I make sure it's correct. If you ever have any questions in regards to your statement of benefits, your first call should be to your employer. Then if they have questions, they should be calling ETF. If the employer is not being helpful, call ETF and we will have someone call them from our side. Okay? So, the moment you've all been waiting for, retirement benefits. Did you know that the monthly payment that you are eligible for from the Wisconsin retirement system is a lifetime benefit for you as the member? Yes, Katie, I did. Good, because it is. The only difference between the annuity options, which we are going to talk about this evening, is what happens upon your passing. Okay? So if you walk out of here with one piece of information, it's that your annuity is a lifetime benefit. Okay? So let's talk. What do you need to retire? you need 3 puzzle pieces. You need to be vested. We talked about that, right? Either vested the minute you walked in prior to July 1st of 2011 or with 5 years of credible service. You need to terminate all WRS employment, and I'm going to say that again. All WRS employment. The reason why I stress that so much is this. Some people have 2 jobs with the district. Some people are a teacher. What else do? They coach. You must terminate both positions in order to retire. You cannot retire from just the classroom. Okay? You have to terminate all employment. Same thing goes if you, let's say you have a part-time job with the city of Fitchburg doing janitorial work in the evening. And then you work full-time during the day with Madison Schools. Both positions. Okay?
Is that true with NSDR also?
Mm-hmm. Meeting minimum retirement age, and here is the answer to your question, ma'am. 55. Okay? If you're a police or firefighter, which I'm thinking nobody in this room is, they can retire at 50. The rest of us can retire at the beautiful age of 55.
By what date?
I'm sorry?
By what date do you have to be 55?
By your birthday.
By the time you retire, by the time, like by what date in the year?
Can I clarify that question?
I can answer it, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. You mean, you need to be 55 at the time of your termination date. The termination date. So,
So even if you're turning 55 that year, if it's not by whenever you end employment, you're out.
so a lot of our educators who may want to terminate in June of, let's say, June of 19, right? But their 55th birthday is when?
October.
October of 19. Can you retire?
In October.
You can stop working, but what happens? You're inactive. And I always tell my teachers that come in and talk to me that want to do that, walk real careful. You can do it. Would I recommend it? No. Because you are endangering your account. So if you stop working in June of 19, turn 55 in October of 19, your benefit could start November 1st of 19 if you walked carefully and took very good care of yourself. Does that answer your question? Okay, great. That is so common. So common. We always make the joke at work that says, if you have a summer birthday, you probably shouldn't be a teacher, right? Because that doesn't affect my job category, right? I can retire on my 55th birthday and I'm done. Because I can retire at any time because I'm not on a contract similar to the individuals in this room. It's a good question. All right, so we've met our puzzle pieces. What can you do? How do you apply for your retirement? If you are thinking about retiring in June of 19, you probably should request an estimate from ETF real soon. We say 6 to 12 months prior to your retirement. You can request one estimate every 12 months. Okay? If you've already requested one and you kind of want to look at what your numbers might be, we have an online retirement estimate calculator on our website at etf.wi.gov. On the left-hand side underneath the tree, There's a calculators button, you click on that, and then the first link is the retirement estimate calculator. You can either go online to request the estimate, or you can call us. The call center is open 7 to 5, Monday through Friday. You get that estimate, you take a look at it, please review it. Yes, ma'am.
I called to get my estimate,
Mhm.
and they said you called at the right time, like in November, because in February, March, when the teachers' deadline is for retiring at the end of the year, they get really busy. So if you're thinking about it, do it before then.
We're kind of really busy like right now too. Yeah. We're really busy now because this is the time of year that state employees retire. And after last week, we're really busy because there are other changes coming, and so people are retiring. Okay? So, but yes, don't wait, because you can apply for your benefit up to 90 days prior to your termination date. So what I always tell my educators is, spring break, what a great thing to do during spring break is to submit your application to ETF. And the woman brings up another great point. You guys know you could come down to the beautiful new Hill Farms building, park across the street that doesn't exist yet. Go up to the 8th floor, because that's where we live. And you can come visit us. And if you want to do that during, say, spring break, probably should get your retirement packet pretty soon. I think we're about 4 to 6 weeks out in processing right now, because October's a really busy month for us too, so we get behind. After you review that application, you could schedule an appointment with us. We do one-on-one individual appointments in the Madison office. We also do online individual appointments. We also do group appointments in the Madison office on Friday mornings. Right now we do them Tuesday afternoons, and I think as of the first of the year they're going to move that to Mondays, but don't quote me on that because they really haven't made a decision yet. But there are ways to educate yourself. Like I said, you probably have a ton of friends. My mom is a retiree of MMSD. She was a school nurse for a long time over at La Follette. She still has coffee with all of her, what I call her retired teacher friends. And so they're all very knowledgeable, right? But do they know the answers to the questions that we know for you? No. So you should talk to somebody. You could also call the toll-free number and talk to someone over the phone if you don't want to make a formal appointment. But a lot of people like to come in because they want that one-on-one attention, and that's fine. That's why we're there. Okay? But you must have a retirement packet in your hand to come talk to somebody. And then step 3 is what? Filling it out. I call that your final exam. It's the best final exam I will ever take, I guarantee it. That could be submitted no earlier than 90 days prior to your termination date. Okay? We say a window of 45 to 90 days, just so it gives us time to get you on our payroll. All right? Because we don't want a gap between your last paycheck and when your annuity starts. So what do we do when you, yes, sir?
For a teacher, what is the termination date? Isn't really the actual termination date, August 30th, 31st?
Termination date is going to be the last day of school.
And you get paid through August, right?
Correct.
12 months.
So it's not your last paycheck, it's the last day you're on payroll.
That's why you can submit it as spring.
Correct.
You could submit an after school date though. When would you be getting paid first?
So, when's the last day of school this year?
The 11th, 12th.
No one has that circle on their calendar at all, do they? The 11th, okay? So if you file your application saying your termination date is June 11th, your annuity starts the next day. And as long as you turn in that application 45 to 90 days prior to your termination date, your first payment is July 1st. And it pays you August or I'm sorry, June 12th through the 30th on July 1st. Okay? Yes?
You can't meet with someone unless you've already declared that you're retired.
You can meet with someone as long as you are of minimum retirement age. Or within a year of minimum retirement age. So if you were 54 years old, you're eligible for an estimate, right? Because you can retire at 55. If you get an estimate, you can come in and we can talk to you.
But you have to have the retirement packet with you?
You need to have a packet, right? Because we don't know what to talk to you about if you don't have one. Yes.
Maybe you have to, where do you get the packet from? So you can fill it out so you can go into the point.
You call ATF or you go online. Yep. Sounds like we're gonna get kind of busy, huh? Yes, sir.
This may be premature, but I understand calling ETF for retirement. ETF also answer questions regarding church and escrow accounts.
Nope.
Who answers those questions?
Rochelle.
So that's all through the district.
That's all through the district. The only benefit that ETF handles for you is your pension. It's the only benefit that we handle for Madison Schools.
Before I leave tonight, can I get a phone number for the district?
Oh, for the district?
We're gonna have another hour after this that's gonna go into term and retirement.
Okay. Okay. Scanning, okay. So when you call for that estimate, we always do two calculations on everybody's account. One is the money purchase calculation. A money purchase calculation takes into account your contributions, the employer's contributions, and all the interest over your years of service within the Wisconsin retirement system. The second one is what we call a formula factor calculation. Your 3 high years of earnings, your total years of service, and your age at retirement. Whatever is higher is what you are paid. I have yet to meet an annuitant who says, oh, give me the one that pays me less. And if you are telling me that, then we really need to talk. Because I don't, and I was really close. One woman says, well, I really want a money purchase calculation. And I'm thinking, why? It's $300 a month less. Why would you want that? Okay? Now, formula factor calculations takes into account what? Your age. And that's where that age reduction comes into effect, right? Has everyone heard the, what, 30 years of service and age 57? If you have 30 years of service and you are 57 years or older, you do not have an age reduction. Because normal retirement age is what? 65. So if you're retiring between 55 and 65, you have a potential of an age reduction. Now, if you are 58 and have 29 years of service, are you going to have an age reduction? Yeah. Is it going to be huge? No. It's going to be a difference of maybe $20 to $30 a month. That's when you want to do that cost-benefit analysis for yourself and say, hey, is it worth it to work a whole nother year just to get $30 more per month? I don't know. But those are things that we go over at those appointments. We talk about that. You can also use the calculator, the online calculator, to determine what your age reduction is, if you have one. Okay? You may be eligible for what we call a lump sum payment if your annuity is calculated between $198 and $405 per month. If your annuity is calculated to be more than $405 per month, you're not eligible for a lump sum payment. You're only eligible for a monthly lifetime annuity. And as I like to say to people, good problems to have, because you actually get more money out of the system from a monthly annuity than you would from a lump sum payment. So let's talk about annuities. When you request your estimate, you may have as little as 3 annuity options and as many as 14 annuity options. Okay? It depends on your circumstances. Depends on your age at retirement. It depends on if you're married and have a named survivor listed. So the way I like to think about these annuity options is splitting them in half. These top three are what we call life annuity options. We call them life annuity options because they are only paying you for your lifetime. The bottom four, joint and survivor annuity options, we're paying you for your lifetime, and upon your passing, if your spouse or named survivor survives you, we're paying their lifetime. So we're paying 2 lifetimes. So the first 3 that everybody has. Annuitants life only, that's exactly how it sounds. Payable for your life only, and upon your passing, no death benefit payable. The second one, life with 60 payments guaranteed. Your lifetime with a guarantee of 60 payments, which is 5 years. If you pass away before we pay 60 payments, the remaining payments will be paid to a beneficiary. Oh, that beneficiary form. Oh yeah, we talked about that already. That's another reason why the beneficiary designation form is a good thing to do. If you outlive that guarantee, are you still getting paid? Yes. Right? Because it's a lifetime benefit for you. It just means we're not going to be paying anybody else. And then the third option, life with 180 payments guaranteed, which is 15 years. If you pass away before we pay 15 years worth of payments, the remaining payments are being paid to what? A beneficiary. If you outlive that guarantee, you are still being paid. Okay? So let's go below the line and look at our named survivor or joint survivor annuity options. A named survivor is either a spouse or a non-spouse within 19 years of your age. Okay? So I am married. My spouse is my named survivor. He is also my primary beneficiary. He wears 2 hats. Okay? So the first one, 75% continued to named survivor. You would receive the $13.92 for your lifetime, and upon your passing, if your named survivor survives you, they receive 75% of that amount for their lifetime. The second one, 100% continued to named survivor, is exactly how it sounds. You receive the $13.57 for your lifetime, and if your survivor survives you, they receive that same amount for their lifetime. Now, if you were to pick one of these first 2 joint survivor annuity options, and your joint survivor passes away within the first 5 years of you being retired, you pop up to annuitants life only. But that's only if the named survivor passes away within the first 5 years of you being retired. Okay? Because you cannot change a named survivor. Can you change a beneficiary? You bet. Named survivor? No. Because the calculations are done based upon your date of birth and your named survivor's date of birth. We got to figure out how long we need that money to last. Okay? Excuse me. The third one, which I find to be the most confusing, reduce 25% upon the death of the named survivor, or the annuitant or the named survivor. As long as you are both living, you receive the higher amount. When one of you dies, the annuity goes down 25%. Meaning if your named survivor passes away before you, your annuity goes down. Okay? And then the last one, 100% continued to named survivor with 180 payments guaranteed. Pays you for your lifetime, your named survivor for their lifetime, and if they both pass away before we pay 180 payments, or 15 years, the remaining payments are going to be paid to a beneficiary. That is the only named survivor annuity option that is going to pay someone other than yourself and your named survivor. You'll notice in this example, there's a difference of $1 a month. So for $1 a month, this member can assure that if for some reason they and their named survivor pass away before 180 payments are made, that the department makes the remaining payments to a beneficiary. That's the most popular annuity option. I don't think anybody's surprised by that. It has the most protection, right? Yes, ma'am.
Just throw this out there to think about. My sister retired at 62, died at 62. Her daughter's got the 15-year payments coming in there. And she's buying, and she's using that to buy herself a condo, which is unfortunate that my sister passed away, but it's good for my niece.
But your sister did that because, what is this? This is our benefit, right? This is part of our total compensation plan. And she wanted to guarantee that she got everything out of the system and then some that both herself and the employer put in. Yep. She protected that benefit. Yep. Any questions on these? Cool. Now, some of you may have the opportunity to retire prior to the age of 62. I sure hope I'm one of those people. You have the opportunity of what we call accelerated annuity options. The accelerated annuity options means you are top-loading your annuity. You are receiving more of your annuity prior to the age of 62. What happens at the age of 62? Social Security. So the idea is this. We give you more money, the money in this middle column, prior to the age of through the month of your 62nd birthday. Then at 62, it goes down. The idea is that you could apply for Social Security at the age of 62, use your Social Security plus your reduced retirement benefit, adding those together is going to equal about what you were getting on the accelerated portion of the annuity. Now, a couple cautions. One, do we control whether you apply for Social Security at the age of 62 or not? No. Two, have we contacted Social Security to get that estimated amount? No. We are merely doing the calculation based upon the wages that have been reported to the Wisconsin retirement system, because that is the only information that we are privy to. Okay. Accelerated options are popular. My mother took one. She retired at 57. Problem was she forgot she took one. So after she turned 62, her annuity went down and she went, huh, oh yeah, I picked an accelerated option. I better go apply for Social Security. And I said, well, only if you want your income to stay the same. Okay? So make sure that you do your research and whether accelerated options work for you or not. I go back and forth on them every day. This little chart is showing you how the accelerated options work. This blue line here, accelerated options, you get more at 62, and then it levels off. At the age of about 74 is where the regular, this orange line, and the accelerated cross. So essentially, if you live after the age of 74, you're actually getting more money from the system if you took a regular annuity option versus the accelerated annuity option. Okay? You have 60 days from your first payment to change your annuity option. So if your first payment is July 1st of 2019, you have 60 days from that date to change your annuity option. After that time period, it's set in stone. You can't make any changes. Okay? The change request must be received in writing by ETF within that time period. Your annuity is taxable. A majority of your contributions to the Wisconsin retirement system were made on a pre-tax basis, meaning you're going to be taxed at the time that you retire. Okay? We have an online tax calculator that can be very helpful to determine exactly, okay, I'm going to file at a single with the 0 exemptions. How much taxes are going to be taken out? And the system will spit that out and let you know. Okay? Couple of ways to improve your benefit. If you ever left your position with a public employer and took a separation benefit out, which is what we talked about at the beginning of this presentation, what did you do? You forfeited that service. You can buy it back. My mom did that. She worked for Dane County Public Health before she came to Madison Schools. She left that position and took a separation benefit. Then as she got closer to retirement, she's like, oh my gosh, I really could use those 4 years right now. And she bought them back. It's a great way to improve your benefit. I think it cost her about $15,000 and it paid for itself in 4 years of her annuity. Because it increased her annuity by $250 per month for the rest of her life. There is other service that you could purchase. We call it other governmental service. So if you ever worked for a separate public pension program, I worked for the state of Minnesota for 5.5 years before I came and worked for the state of Wisconsin. So I have service in Minnesota right now that I could purchase and add to my account here. I did my own estimate just to see. It cost me $145,000. Needless to say, I'm not doing that. The reason why it costs so much is because you are funding that benefit all by yourself. Your contributions, the employer's contributions, and all the interest over all the years. With forfeited service, the employer contributions are still in the system, right? You just have to add back in the money that you took out. That's why it's a better deal. Now, purchasing service you can only do as an active member of the Wisconsin retirement system. You cannot do it when you retire. So if this is something that you think you may be interested in or you may be eligible for, please call us so you can get an estimate sooner rather than later. Because you may find that, hey, with that additional $100 or $200 a month, maybe I can retire this school year instead of waiting until next school year. Okay? Additional contributions, there's a beautiful brochure that I would call the Periwinkle Golf Brochure, because I believe it's a golf course there. In your folder this evening, were you aware that you can make additional contributions on a post-tax basis to the Wisconsin retirement system? I love when people nod yes, because that's so rare. You can. Now, if you're far away from retirement like Katie is, doing it right now is a great idea. As you get closer, it may not be something you want to look at, but let's say you're more than 5 years away. You can make voluntary after-tax additional contributions to the Wisconsin retirement system. It's either your annual salary or $54,000. Those are then invested with the rest of the State of Wisconsin Investment Board money, all our required contributions that we have taken out of our paychecks, and they manage it. Excuse me. The great thing is, State of Wisconsin Investment Board, they don't take any fees. I like to consider it like a high-yielding savings account. So last year, the core fund received an 8.5% effective rate of interest. That's what we got on our core fund last year. Meaning if you were participating in the additional contributions, you received 8.5% interest. And I can't remember the last time I got that from any of my banking institutions. So this chart is giving you an example of how those additional contributions work. Okay? It's showing how that compounded interest works when it comes to these annual contributions. So the annual contribution is $206, meaning $10 a biweekly paycheck is essentially what it is demonstrating. Okay? And it increases so much. Your total balance, $43,908. This is taxable, but you're not taxed on this. You're only taxed on the interest, right? You're not taxed on the contribution that you made because the contribution that you made was post-tax. This is just another example of how the money can grow so much. So we have some members that will come in and have been doing this for 20 years, 30 years, and they have over $1 million in their additional contributions. The glory of compounded interest. This is an example of a retirement estimate with additional contributions on it. So you can retire and take out your required contributions. That's what we've been talking about. That's what you're contributing every payroll and what the employer is matching. And you can leave your additional contributions in the system and they continue to receive the effective rate of interest. You can only contribute to the additional contributions as an active member of the Wisconsin retirement system. Disability benefits, if you are needing to retire because of a physical or a mental disability, please either talk to me before you leave tonight or call us. There are disability benefits payable through ETF. The best subject is for last for all of our educational employees. Returning to work after you retire. You gonna go back to work after you retire? The emphatic no is my favorite answer. But I do know that many people come back as what? Substitutes. Now, you should know the rules, but we're going to talk about them again because the most important thing is that you need to educate yourself because this affects you. Because if you are overpaid because you weren't supposed to get your annuity and you went back to work, who does it affect? You. Does it affect the employer? No. So, rule number 1, you cannot have a predetermined employment agreement. So you stop working on June 11th, can you be on the sub list already? No. You must have a good faith termination. You must have a 75-day break in service. Hey, that's summer. Amazing how that worked out, huh? Now, September 1st rolls around, and you call the district and you say, hey, can you put me on the short-term sub list? The district says, sure. There's no earnings limit. There's an hours limit, right? And we touched on this before. 2/3 of full time, 880 hours in a rolling 12-month period. If you exceed that, you are required to contribute to the Wisconsin retirement system, and your annuity is frozen. Don't play with fire. We had one educator in a different district. Her goal was to work 879 hours. Guess what happened? Rolling 12-month period. A low month rolled off and a high month rolled on. She went over 880 hours. Her annuity is suspended. She has to start contributing to the system again. She was not happy. Now, short-term subbing, you're probably not going to get to 880 hours. Long-term substitute teaching, that's where you're getting in danger of that. Now, if you stop working for the district and go work at a private school or go work at Target because you want the discount like I do, doesn't affect WRS, right? It has to be a WRS employer. So that's any state, county, city, towns, villages, school districts, tech schools, UW system, right? We're all paying into the Wisconsin retirement system. But if you're working for a private employer, do they pay into it? No. So you can work and earn as much as you want and go hog wild. Sorry, that's the text tone that my daughter has. I call it her princess tone. Yes, that one. So, your list. If you are within 1 year of minimum retirement age, meaning if you are the age of 54, do yourself a favor and request an estimate and see where you're at. You may even be closer than you think. Once you get it, review it. Call us with questions. Call us and make an appointment if you wish to come talk to someone in person. Okay? Consider additional contributions or other ways to improve your benefit. That's all I've got for you. Does anybody have any questions?